What's good, R&B squad? This is Ruth. I trust that this message meets you guys in good spirits. If you're new to this family, we don't believe that you're here by accident. Welcome. We're happy to have you, and Jesus is, of course, always happier. The word that I have today comes from something that the Lord showed to me in the spirit and some things he discussed with me in my private time with him. And as per usual, as you listen to the word, you'll know by the details whether or not it is for you. Please eat the meat, spit out the bone, take what's for you, and leave the rest. I will begin with what I was shown in the spirit. So in the spirit, I saw a man, and he seemed to be uncomfortable. He seemed to be moved and even a bit upset by something that he had seen. And I was made to understand that what he had seen was the woman who was supposed to be his God-ordained partner, the woman that he knew God had chosen to be his wife. He saw her engaging in some activity that made him feel like she was acting too single for his liking. So let me see if I could bring that across more clearly. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh at this. Please don't think if this word is for you that I'm not taking it seriously. But this man, and I want you to understand this, that I was seeing in the spirit, he was upset because this woman, who was his God-ordained partner, was acting a little too single for his liking. But here's the catch. The woman actually was single. The woman that he was looking at thinking she's acting too single for his liking, she actually was single. So he knew that this was his God-ordained wife. He knew that the Lord had chosen her for him. He knew he was supposed to be her husband, but he hadn't made a move yet to solidify things between them. So for all intents and purposes, the woman was single. But he was sitting there, uncomfortable, made to be uncomfortable, and upset, flustered by the fact that this woman was acting too single for his liking. So now I did not see what exactly the woman was up to. I was not shown what activity she was engaging in. But what I do understand, from what I understood, what the Lord helped me to understand, is that it caused him to feel like she wasn't even thinking about him, like he wasn't even in the picture. She was acting completely single, and this is what made him uncomfortable. And he was sitting there, he was sweating, he was grumbling, he was murmuring, he was muttering to himself, he was talking to himself because he was so moved by this. The Lord actually used the word blue. So this man was blue, felt blue in his heart and in his mind and in his spirit because this woman was acting too single for his liking. He thought that she owed it to him to set herself apart for him. And I remember thinking, when the Lord mentioned this to me as I looked at this man in the spirit, I remember getting a smart mouth with the Lord. I got smart in my mouth with the Lord, and I said to him, well, if the woman is acting single, that's because she is. I don't see what the problem is here. The woman is single. This man, even though he's sitting there all bothered and upset, I don't see him making a move to solidify things between them. So what's the problem? But then the Lord quickly and firmly put me back into my place because I needed to be put in my place. I had no business getting a smart mouth with God. And furthermore, I knew better. So the Lord reminded me, he said, when you're single, you do not set yourself apart and consecrate yourself for your partner who's about to be your partner, your God-ordained partner that you're going to marry. You set yourself apart and you consecrate yourself unto me. You consecrate yourself unto the Lord. That's who you consecrate yourself onto. So you should not be out here acting single just because you're not yet married. You're setting yourself apart for the Lord. Don't ever think that you're doing it for your spouse, because if you start to think that way, then you won't do it. And I sat there dumbfounded because the Lord put me in my place. And I should have known that. I knew better anyway. So I shouldn't have gotten smart in the mouth with the Lord. But the thing is, if this is for you, And then I should mention that the other thing I saw before I came away from what I was seeing in the spirit is that this man, he wasn't just grumbling and murmuring, he decided to do something about it. So he started wondering if he should reach out to her and maybe let her know that it made him uncomfortable that she was acting single. And he also started to pray about it. So he literally got before God and prayed about it and prayed for her to stop acting single. And then I came away from what I saw in the spirit. So for someone, and this can be for you, whether you are a man or a woman, the man or woman that God has chosen to marry you is aware that God has chosen them to marry you. So let's just get that part out of the way real quick. It's not like they don't know. They know who they are. They know that they're supposed to be your husband or that they're supposed to be your wife. However, for whatever reason, and from one situation to the next, the reason will vary. For whatever reason, the two of you have not yet been able to come together. So what that could mean is that maybe you're acquaintances, maybe you're friends, and you have not spoken of your feelings for each other just yet. Or it could be that you're aware of your feelings for each other, but you're in separation. There is some degree of separation between the two of you. It's either emotional, or there is no communication, or there's some physical distance. The fact of the matter is, it's not official between the two of you. And even though it's not official between the two of you, this person feels as if you owe it to them to set yourself apart for them. And so this is what is making them uncomfortable. They're watching you. They're observing you. They think you're acting single. They think you're living your best life without them in it. And that has them bothered. So it's bothering them enough not only for them to think about reaching out to you and having a discussion with you about where they stand with you, but it's also bothering them enough for them to take it to the Lord, which is a good thing because they should be going before the Lord and praying for you and praying for your sanctity and praying for you to be set apart, for you to have the strength to remain set apart. So it's good that they're doing this. And just a reminder to you again, even though you may be like me, you may be like I was in the beginning, saying, well, if this person hasn't done anything to solidify the connection, if they haven't made a move to court you, then you have every right to act single. Even though I started out thinking that, and you may be thinking that right now, as the Lord reminded me, now I'm reminding you, when you set yourself apart in your singleness, in your single season, you are not doing it on to your partner. You're doing it onto the Lord. So you're setting yourself apart for the Lord. Because the minute you start to think of it, like the Lord said, the minute you start to think of it as you setting yourself apart for this person, you're going to find all kinds of reasons for why you shouldn't. You're going to say, you know what? They're out there, they're doing whatever they want, and they're not setting themselves apart. So why should I? Don't worry about what is going on with them. God is going to straighten them out. Mind your own business and set yourself apart and be obedient to the Lord, because you do not start being set apart when you are courting. You do not begin to be consecrated and set apart when you are married. This has to start in your single season. You have to learn to be faithful while you're single. Be faithful to the Lord, and then you will have absolutely no problem being faithful to your husband or to your wife. But just know that this person is watching you. They know who they are. They know they're your husband. They know that they're your wife, and they're watching you. And they are uncomfortable because they feel like someone may come up and snatch you right from under their noses, and you will no longer be available. They think you're living your best life without them, and it's making them a little bit afraid of losing you. And there are some of you that this is for, and you're going to be listening to this, and you're going to get some bright ideas, and you're going to think, maybe I should go out there. Even if you have not been acting single, you're probably thinking, you know what, I'm going to go out there and act single on purpose so that I can elicit a response from this individual. Don't do that. Because if you do that, not only will you be confusing people and making them think that you're available, but you're also going to be sending the wrong message to your spouse and ultimately to the Lord, because you will be saying to the Lord that I'm not ready to walk into my courtship. I'm not ready to walk into my marriage. That's the message you're sending to God when you start acting single. So be careful with that. Do not go and start acting single and doing stuff to prove that you're on the market or whatever in an attempt to get your spouse's attention. Don't do that. That's just going to make things worse. I just felt the need to mention that. So now switching gears a little bit, there was another message, and this message may be related to the first one or it may not be. For some of you, you will be able to relate to both. Now, for someone, there has been no communication or very limited communication between you and your person. And there has been certain things blocking the communication from happening, but now those things have been removed. So now you have the time and the space and the opportunity. You will have the time, the space, and the opportunity to communicate. And when you do, that communication is going to break down all of the barriers to you being together. So now it is through that communication that you will come together, that you will begin to repair or build your union. So that's the message, guys. I hope that the right people caught it, that it reached the right ears. I hope it blessed someone. I love you guys. I will be back with another word as soon as the Lord releases me. Take care.